People, I want y'all to look at this. Look at it. They tell us that any animal can catch it. Oh, it's not animal specific. Yet, we only see it in dogs. Why is that? Why is it that you rarely see infections, weird spaced out infections? Several of them. Why do you only see it in dogs? All the while telling us that all animals can catch it. What about rabies? Why is it primarily dogs? Why? Is it ever anything else? Maybe a fox? Some other canine? But keep in mind, that fox, that wolf, had it not had rabies, would most likely leave you alone. The dog wouldn't. To an extent, shouldn't we view a creature's aggression? Shouldn't we associate that aggression with disease? It's like typically the more aggressive a creature, the more diseases it has. As if the diseases influence the aggression. Now, what you just saw, these are flesh-eating maggots. Did they say any mammal can catch? Okay. Why is it that when you Google mango worms, all you get is dogs? Yes. Let's get deeper into the health hazard briefly. I won't be too long. But I say that they should be banned. Dogs should be banned based on health hazards alone. Take your pick. Health or physical safety. Now, I don't want to just give a speech. I want y'all to look at this. Some of these stories that have surfaced recently. How many of y'all seen this? I know some of you are true researchers. Have y'all seen this?
Veterinarians have an urgent warning.
Sorry about that. This surfaced October 27th. It was published today. Okay? So, breaking news. At least breaking news segment. Check this out.
An urgent warning about a highly contagious respiratory virus and flu that's spreading among dogs here in the Queen City. It is.
Oh, wait a minute. Okay. There we go.
Airborne, so it's easily spreading. It's spreading at doggy daycares and boarding facilities. Vets are urging pet owners to do what they can to keep their dogs safe. WCNC Charlotte's Chloe Leshner shares what symptoms you need to be on the lookout for.
Wait a minute. Dog illness spike. Why are they always having spikes? Why are they always having these random outbreaks? And quite often it's some respiratory disease, sort of like those other respiratory viral infections that you've heard about. Just out of the blue, sometimes you can't even detect it. Why?
Pet owners to do what they can to keep their dogs safe. WCNC Charlotte's Chloe Leshner shares what symptoms you need to be on the lookout for.
For most dogs, it starts like kennel cough, but for Otto, the cough quickly became more intense and louder. Kennel cough typically will go away on its own, but vets say this can become extremely dangerous if it's left untreated.
Charlotte veterinarians say thousands of area dogs are catching a contagious strain of canine influenza. Their offices slammed.
Could you imagine coming across these things for the first time ever in your life and you hear them doing this, coughing and hacking? And I mean, does this really happen with other animals? Do you just find them laid up, balled up, hacking and coughing and bloody diarrhea? We have to ask these questions. We have to ask these questions. That's the responsible thing to do. We got to understand what we're surrounding ourselves with, what we are sharing bodily fluids with. These people with dogs pass whatever those dogs have to other people.
I mean, multiple cases a day.
Wait a minute. Multiple cases a day. Listen to this.
Influenza. Their offices slammed.
I mean, multiple cases a day that are coming in with coughing, and we're hospitalizing at least 1 or 2 a week that are becoming oxygen dependent.
Jill Pasquarella, an emergency doctor at Care Animal Hospital in Charlotte, says it's airborne and spreads just like human flu.
This is one city getting all those cases per day.
Hey, buddy.
Symptoms can take 3 to 7.
Do y'all know how much of an outbreak that is? How many did she say? Let's take that back.
Their offices slammed.
I mean, multiple cases a day that are coming in with coughing, and we're hospitalizing at least 1 or 2 a week that are becoming oxygen dependent.
Jill Pasquarella, an emergency doctor at Care Animal Hospital in Charlotte, says it's airborne and spreads just like human flu.
You okay, buddy?
Symptoms can take 3 to 7 days to appear, and it will typically start off
Spread just like human flu. And it's a type of flu. It's like a flu virus. So stuff like this can eventually mutate to adapt to a different host. That's why it's dangerous to not only have these things inside our homes, but to be exchanging fluids with them. That's a crime. It's a crime. That's a crime against humanity, against your own kind. Exchanging bodily fluids with disease-ridden creatures like this, the most disease-ridden. And these are dogs that have been getting shots all their life. They can't give these things enough shots to keep them healthy. Could you imagine what their health would be like if none of them ever got vaccinations? They'd be the world's #1 reservoir for disease, and they still are, despite getting all these vaccinations.
off as a dry, hacking cough.
Typically, the respiratory viruses that we'd see would be a pretty self-limiting cough, more like a cold, and would just get better on its own. And now we're seeing it progress to pretty severe pneumonia in some dogs.
Many dogs are prescribed antibiotics to keep it from progressing.
Antibiotics, they all loaded up on drugs all the time, getting vaccinated all the time, constantly fanning their anus odor with their tail. They're an excrement reservoir as well. Everything revolves around excrement, which is the major carrier of disease, just happens to be. First thing it does when it comes across another living organism is sniff its anus to get a whiff of its excrement. It finds excrement, eats it. If it defecates, turn around, eat it. the world's #1 reservoir for disease. And it's fitting that they're the most vile behaving, the nastiest. That's fitting.
Progressing into something that could land them in Pascarella's emergency room.
This is disgusting. Nothing that's activating anus scent odors and emitting it and fanning it non-stop. Nothing like that belongs inside of the same building as a human being. See, this is that era where your savage, backwards, nasty lifestyle gets called out. Everyone, all over this beautiful earth. This is a filthy, dangerous lifestyle. Why are these things still so disease-ridden, even though they get drugged up more than any other animal? These other animals not getting drugged up their whole life, and they're not dealing with these problems. Don't you think it's responsible to have this discussion? This should be talked about on all mainstream media outlets, and all these journalists know it. And you're going to slowly hear them talk about it because it's so true. No true journalist can keep their hands off of it. Our talking points, what we're talking about right now, and viewing dogs for the disease-ridden reservoirs that they are. It's not just about safety or why they need to be banned. These things are unusually disease-ridden, nasty and filthy. It's irresponsible for us to ignore this.
She says several dogs have died from this.
The ones that need to come to the ER are the dogs who are not eating, are very lethargic, any respiratory distress, and what that looks like in dogs is the nose pointed up to the sky trying to breathe, puffing their cheeks with their mouth closed, or using their belly muscles to breathe.
Otto is on antibiotics, and vets say the cough can persist for several weeks even when it is treated. They say the best thing to do right now is to avoid social places like dog bars or daycares where dogs could be gathered together.
What? Now, they actually gave a statistic. It must be on another one. But you see, these things have these weird... Now, this is just an influenza. We recently heard about the parvovirus, right? Outbreak in Michigan, right? You have outbreaks like this all over the place. Every year, these mutants have diseases just breaking. Why? Don't you think it's smart to wonder whether that's the reason why humans have spikes and have diseases, period? Especially to the extent that we have them. What are we doing? I don't need a degree to know that this is important. Y'all remember I shared this? 70% of dogs at one shelter have a respiratory infection. 70%. They vaccinate those dogs. These things just nasty. So what percentage do you think all the other dogs, they probably have all kinds of respiratory infections. Some of them might mutate and infect humans. And y'all gonna listen to the media telling you that this is coming from some laboratory somewhere? All these diseases, oh, they're from a monkey in Africa. They're from a slaughterhouse in China. No, They're coming from your nasty, disease-ridden mutt. Now listen to this.
Dogs can also
Wait a minute.
get upper respiratory infections. However, the staff do say that what's making
down with the dogs at the Franklin County Dog Shelter are coming down with respiratory infections.
And it brings concerns that there could lead to a severe outbreak. MDC4's Jonathan Jackson live outside the shelter. Does the staff have any idea what's causing the infections, Jonathan?
So, Brad and Jen, they don't know just quite yet, but similar to us, dogs can also get upper respiratory infections. However, the staff do say that what's making this thing spread so quickly is overcrowding here at the shelter. Earlier, I talked with the director of the Franklin County Animal Care and Control, and she told me they're currently at capacity with over 230 dogs being taken care of. Now, that's 30 more than their usual limit of around 200. And she says while adoptions are still happening, the rate at which dogs are coming in is nearly double that. Meanwhile, the symptoms of this respiratory infection can range from a mild cold to pneumonia in dogs, which is why the staff are working to get them adopted or fostered out of the shelter as soon as possible.
At about 70% have some type of upper respiratory infection. So when people come in to adopt, we're telling them you can adopt and take to your own veterinarian if you like, but if you foster, we'll continue to medically advise and take care of that dog.
See? In those shelters, they medically aid dogs. Isn't that right? I know I've had some people who worked at shelters leave comments. Correct me if I'm wrong. They give dogs drugs or whatever they get. I know they get vaccinations and whatnot. And these things are still disease-ridden. And then we have all these zoonotic diseases popping up. And they're respiratory. They're spread the same way some of these other infections spread. I have a problem with that. I have a problem with that.
Pet parents are becoming increasingly concerned as more dogs are coming down with respiratory illnesses.
Well, people who run businesses like a dog daycare are surely taking notice here. Our Erica Jackson is live at the South End Rail Trail, where a lot of people go out to walk their dogs day and night. Erica?
Now, is this the one we just watched? I'm looking for, wait a minute.
I was looking for like a female Australian Shepherd, and everything was fine until she started coughing.
Arwello says his vet diagnosed that concerning cough as a respiratory virus. She's okay now, but the diagnosis is enough to keep him on high alert.
Kind of aware and of other dogs if any coughing is going on.
We're seeing probably in other places in Charlotte are seeing even up to 5 to 10 cases a day.
Yeah, this is what I was talking about.
In other places
going on.
This doc, you heard what he just said? This is what I was talking about.
Probably in other places in Charlotte are seeing even up to 5 to 10 cases a day.
So one city? One city. Or one hospital. I think he's talking about one hospital. Has to be. Do you know how much of an outbreak that is? How severe that is? And we playing games like exchanging bodily fluids with these things? Are you crazy? These things are a health hazard. Severe health hazard.
How many do you usually see around this time of year?
Not 5 to 10 cases a day, unfortunately.
Veterinarian Camden Rubin with Charlotte Animal Referral and Emergency or Care told me.
See, he's talking about one hospital. Wow. This is not a game. This is not a game. Look at how nasty things are. Just like I said, look, sooner, look at how they rush. They rush outside to put their nasty nose to the ground, looking for something to eat, somewhere to urinate, somewhere to defecate, or something to eat, put in his nasty mouth. Y'all have an outdoor vacuum cleaner. that won't eat nothing unless it's excrement or a piece of carcass, something that's dead, been rotting for who knows how long. If it doesn't smell like that, it won't eat it. It only wants the filthiest, foulest smelling substance it can find. It's so dumb, it'll even eat rocks and glass. Rocks and glass, really? What more does it have to eat before it disturbs you? Before it has you worried? This is madness, people.
Unfortunately,
veterinarian Camden Rubin with Charlotte Animal Referral and Emergency, or CARE, told me more dogs are coming in with trouble breathing and persistent coughing. He says those are signs of respiratory illnesses.
primarily just from the cases that we're seeing, these seem to be starting at as viruses that eventually turn into bacterial pneumonia type of cases.
Have you seen some serious cases here?
What?
Cases. That eventually, just from the cases that we're seeing, these seem to be starting at as viruses that eventually turn into bacterial pneumonia type.
Bacterial pneumonia. Virus, then it morphs. We're playing a dangerous game. Some of these things can morph and mutate so that it can infect humans. Don't listen to these people telling you that these crazy diseases is coming from overseas in some laboratory or from some rodent in Africa somewhere. No, that's a lie. They're coming from these vacuum cleaners. That's all dogs are, and no other animal operates like that. What other animal do you know go around sniffing the ground and that's its primary source of food? Even cats, at least they catch mice and they actually hunt. They can hunt. Unbelievable. I'm saying functionally, dogs are the filthiest. They have the most savage, unclean behavior of any animal. They smell like no other animal. They're always sick and infected with something like no other animal. These animals is just fine. If other animals were getting sick the way dogs do, you'd see old flocks of birds falling dead from the sky. You'd see all ducks out. You know how you see ducks and swan, whatever, in parking lots. And they're always walking around freely. They're in perfect health. If they were as sick as dogs, you'd see whole flocks of them can't fly. Right? They can't fly. That would be well known to us. Oh, look, there's a pack of ducks or swan or whatever. They're sick. These other animals are just fine. And they're trying to tell you that all of our diseases, all of the dogs' diseases, is coming from those animals. You a lie. You a lie. Them diseases is coming directly from that worthless mutt. All right, now you can believe what you want. You can believe what you want, but we're coming through. We're coming through. The Crusaders are coming through. We will not be ignored, because these are facts. You, at the very least, you have to be concerned and look deeper into what we're talking about. And y'all know it.
Type of cases.
Have you seen some serious cases here at CARE?
Unfortunately, yes, and I'd be lying to you if I said every patient was completely curable or treatable.
Dr. Rubin recommends steering clear of areas with a lot of dogs, like dog parks.
We were turned away this morning at drop-off.
Dog mom Sarah Reyna learned her dog's daycare is closed because of the outbreak. The owner of Dogs All Day told me
they get drugged up more than any other animals, and still they have outbreaks so bad they have to shut the facility down. Think about that. If we started to medicate other animals so that they'd be in better health, we wouldn't see no difference. These other animals are just fine. That's the difference between natural animals and mutants.
It's a precaution. She says dogs can still come in for boarding, though there's no group playtime, and the workers are deep cleaning all day.
We're very thankful to the staff that they were being precautious.
Orwello plans to limit his dog's time around other pups. He says it's their
Look at him. Look.
Very thankful to the staff that they were being precautious.
Orwello plans to limit his dog's time around other pups.
Look at the constant sniffing the ground. That's dangerous. Dog nutters. I'm not just pointing this out because they look goofy. I'm saying this is dangerous behavior from something that you exchange bodily fluids with.
Says it's
something that you touch, period.
Their way to protect four-legged friends all over Charlotte.
No, better to be safe than sorry.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. People, this is going to wipe us clean from the face of the earth. All because y'all wanted to have some goofy lifestyle. They're going to annihilate us with this nonsense. This has gotten so bad, we've had lockdowns ourselves. And I said from the beginning, it's coming from these rodents.
Now, this right here, this is my dog Kane. He's 4 months old. Now, he likes to say hi to a lot of dogs. So I asked Dr. Rubin what we can do to keep him safe. And so he wanted me to emphasize to stay away from other dogs who we don't know when we can, especially areas like dog parks, and to keep an eye out for symptoms like the trouble breathing and that loud cough. And so if you do see your dog develop any symptoms...
You give them shots their whole life, and you still find them off in the corner coughing and hacking up their lungs. Man, what is this? What is this? We're smarter than this. Okay?
So the problem is that animals have their own versions of infectious agents such as bacteria and virus, and they also can carry ones which are dangerous to us. So the report that you were talking about from TikTok was talking about something incredibly rare called capnocytophaga. Don't worry about the name. It's a very incredibly rare bacteria, which
no. It's rare. No, it's not rare. Most dogs have it in their mouth. It's just that the crippling type is rare. But if your dog has been licking you its whole life, it can just lick you one day and give it to you. That's how it's happened. One day, it can simply mutate to where it hurts you and affects you. Look it up. Capnocytophaga. Most dogs have it in their mouth. But every now and then, it'll morph and kill you. Does that sound like something we need to be exchanging bodily fluids with? That we need to be playing games, living with at all? Now, this is clear, easy to understand language. I'm articulating a savage, primitive, dangerous lifestyle. These nutters, it still don't get through to them. They still don't get it. There's no fixing them.
Dog's saliva. So most people get infected. It's an incredibly rare infection, by the way, but most people get infected with it if they're going to bite when the dog bites them. But you could also see how dogs licking your face and you kind of kissing your dog and sharing saliva with your dog could also transfer that particular bacteria to you.
Stop. That particular bacteria, man, by licking you, it can pass a whole bunch of things to you. They're just only talking about one thing right here. You see what I'm saying? They are, even when they admit stuff like this, they're never completely upfront about the full extent of the hazards that we know about. All those zoonotic diseases I've gone over, those are the ones I'm talking about. Those infections. They can pass it to you just by licking you. It's not just this one.
And particularly people when their immune system isn't working very well, they're particularly vulnerable to getting really nasty.
You mean like babies? And y'all always get dogs around babies? That's what you're talking about? Y'all even got to the point where you said it makes babies healthier? That it gives them a stronger immune system? No, it just builds up a resistance to the dog nastiness. It's still impairing their immune system. The immune system has to work nonstop at a high rate. So some other disease comes, it's easy to get infected. This is dangerous. I'm telling y'all, these things at the very least accentuate our illnesses.
The infections, as you say, you can get a whole body bacterial infection, which can lead to the point where you need to have limbs amputated to stop the bacteria spreading. So the problem is,
and we've seen that, need their limbs amputated. Their limbs turn black, just like the Black Death. The people turn black. Is this what they had? Maybe. But you heard her say that you get it from the dog biting you. That's not true. Look at this. Infection can occur without overt scratch or bite injuries. One lady simply touched her dog. Just touched it. And you can touch them and pick up parasites, bacteria. Okay? We're not just a bunch of lunatics over here. If you came over here thinking you was about to hear some emotional guy roiling with an ugly rage, no, you're going to have to think over here, nutters. See, y'all just want to have a shouting contest and an insulting contest. See who can call each other worse names. No, you're going to have to think, nutter. I know you're not used to that. Y'all been bullying around people for too long. Bullying around us. You know, now what in the world is this? Okay, what is this? Leptospirosis. Do you know that stuff is found in water and in the soil? That's a zoonotic disease, people. You can catch that. That was one of the diseases I went over. Don't y'all think this is a dangerous game? Well, no, it's not a game. Let me rephrase that. It's not a game. It's not a game. And it needs to come to a halt before it wipes us out. You got people getting vaccinated, and what's the point in getting vaccinated when you live with something like this? Something this disease-ridden, and you sharing bodily fluids and with this? Wow. I just can't. I can't. Now, this video was inspired by Dump Dogs, who talks about monkeypox. Now, wait a minute. It's another video. It's a different video. Oh, wait a minute. I got to find that exact video that I was just watching. right here. All right, I'll leave a link to that. Now that's dealing with monkeypox. I don't even need to go over it. Listen to it. And it's common sense. It fits right into what I'm saying. Whenever they tell you that a disease or whatever is only among dogs, don't believe that. When they say, oh, humans can't catch it, don't believe that. Because every time, eventually, it does pass something to you. The same thing happened with those other viruses, remember? Right. Okay, yeah, dump dogs is... Yeah, it was a few videos back. But man, this is dangerous. And monkeypox is respiratory as well. And suddenly, all of a sudden, humans are getting their own respiratory viruses. And it's just what? Appearing out of nowhere? Do y'all really buy that? Come on, man. Like I said, at the very least, you remember that article I shared where they said if you walk your dog, you increase the chances of catching COVID? That article's still out here. They said if you walk your dog, you have a higher risk. You're at a higher risk for catching COVID yourself, not the dog, you. And I made a video talking about it because that does not make sense. What do you mean walking your dog? So having a dog inside your home doesn't increase your chances of catching COVID? Only when you go outside and walk it? That makes no sense. No, I suspect that they've been trying to give people hints. But even if they haven't, I don't need hints. These things are obviously, like openly, blatantly nasty and disease-ridden. That's a fact. They're the most disease-ridden creatures on the planet. That's a fact, nutters. Now, if you disagree with anything I've said, share your disagreement. Make it make sense. Why do all these crazy infections? And keep in mind, just for this video, since I'm already talking about it, keep in mind this unbelievable list of dog diseases, where the number of diseases, they seem to never stop. Okay, each dot. These are a list. This is a list of dog diseases. What? And diseases and disorders. Dogs. We're still going. We're still going. Now we're to the nervous system. No wonder they need shots all their life. And they still coughing, hacking up, popping up with other different infections. For us to assume that we're just fine. And look, they already admit that millions of humans contract zoonotic diseases from their dogs every year. They already told us that. That was a freebie. The doctors they came out and told us that. Just look it up. Just Google diseases from dogs to humans. So why shouldn't we suspect that they're giving us a whole bunch of other things when these people are telling us to our face that the spread is not fully understood. They're telling us that not even the hosts are fully understood. The doctors themselves are telling us they don't know everything. So we have the right to ponder through the information ourselves. And that's my conclusion. These things are the nastiest, most disease-ridden creatures that ever walked this planet. You got to stay out of these people's homes. And eventually, these things got to go. They got to go. They're just too nasty. It's as simple as that. They're just too nasty. Shout out to everybody able to join me for this brief live stream. Good night to you all. Hope to see you on the next live stream as we continue with this crusade.